the better team. It's just about how you can kind of play out the match and ideally look for that win.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, especially, we don't know a lot of the history of Pass. And so it's hard for us to say how deep their pools are. And so playing into your strengths as a team that is playing against the stronger team is definitely one approach, or you go with a super high risk approach. And I don't know that necessarily makes sense. I did like how you described the opening though, ZP. I felt like that would be, yeah, okay, Kelvin got banned, so never mind then.
I don't like the Kelvin ban. Like, yes, Quig is a great Kelvin. It may even be Quig's best hero. But no, in Hydra Nation showing, like, we just don't want to deal with Bebop because you've been playing Bebop. The Bebop ban makes sense. It's kind of we will force you to play meta that we have scrimmed on. I think at the very least now for Pass, Paradox. You pick Paradox. Do not give up Paradox. That is my only request here, is that please do not give Paradox to Flick, because it will be taken by Hydra Nation. There will be no hesitation.
I don't know about you, Chad, or you, Dan, but I have a feeling that ZP wants to see Pass take Paradox.
Yes, I do.
Hey!
Thank you, God. Like, okay. You've made the right pick.
It is funny that if you guys haven't watched before, Flick, actually, if I'm thinking of a player that strikes fear into my heart, it's probably Flick on Paradox. That actually is. In North America, he is the most scary force. Flick and Paradox. So that's good that we eliminate that, because we want to see as close a game as possible. The Infernus coming out right out of the gate. Someone that was kind of forgotten in the EU broadcast.
On the really quick, the note of Flick and Paradox, in week 2, I think it was, he had 0 deaths in their best of 3 when they played.
God.
He had 0 deaths. It was crazy. Yeah, and first, so ZP, you're want to see Viscus come in here. I'm still kind of amazed to see, like Wraith. I mean, obviously I can understand the Paradox first pick. Going for the Infernus over like a Wraith, I guess that kind of feeds into Lefa, and we saw him show what he can do when he gets 2 kills early on if you fail a gank onto him.
Yeah, I mean, Wraith would be a good pick, but also Hydra Nation just saw Pass not value the Wraith, so maybe they feel like, okay, we can get the Mirage instead. I do think you punish them here, and you pick up the Viscus at a minimum, which also means if they are going to eventually go for the Wraith, and Pass doesn't want to play it, it also gives you one of the best heroes in the game at curtailing Wraith's power, which is having Viscus, having the cube. You pick the Wraith yourself, and again, to the same logic, you know Hydra Nation is 100% without doubt going to pick Viscus if it's not picked here in slot 3. That is the reality of the situation, especially now that Wraith is on the board. You should pick Viscus.
So ZP, the thought I'm getting is you want to see Pass take Viscus for slot 3?
They did not. And now Hydra Nation's going to pick it in turn, which, decisions. That's all I'm saying.
ZP the crystal ball. Is it happening? Viscus? Yeah, yes. There we go. There we go. Well, you can the pocket thing. I get it, because they really wanted to secure it for Algae, and they have balanced their picks a little bit in saying, okay, let's kick the Paradox straight away. So presumably they're doing that because of Flick, and maybe it's the case that Infernus was selected by Hydra Nation because they just saw Infernus be a pretty critical piece of how Pass won the previous game as well. So maybe some of these picks going back and forth in that sense. But I'm liking both lineups so far. This already for me feels better than Pass's previous comp. Maybe banning Bebop was a bad thing. Maybe it's forcing Pass to pick a great comp.
Well, they're still missing a front line at the moment. I'm actually kind of curious. Are we going to see? I mean, Ivy picked up at some point, probably for slot 6 for Hydra Nation, because it's basically the last support that you're going to play here, unless you want to go Dynamo, which we haven't seen in quite a long time. So I'd imagine they want to start taking some like tankier heroes. Maybe get like an Abrams out. Maybe Warden, maybe Lash, like get some beef in your line, in your front line, and deny as much as that you can from Pass. There we go, Abrams.
Yeah,
almost a crystal ball. Not as good as ZP though.
Abrams is exactly who I would have expected there, because again, you think about Flick's hero pool and who Flick likes to play. Paradox is off the table. Flick still plays an exceptional Abrams. Not the only player that can play it on their team. Rocker can play it too, but I think this will be Flick on the Abrams. So perfect pick both for who's going to play it and also what they need there in terms of tankiness, because now you go to Pass.
Whoa,
you look at their lineup, it's squishy. It's also a late Greytown pick.
Ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah, I think you look at here, Pass might have to go with the Mo, and I'm not in love with that as a final pick, or they go with Mercedes on the Warden again, which is sort of a quasi like frontline. I mean, he certainly took more abuse than most Mo and Krills do in the last game, but Yeah, it's interesting. Hydra Nation, though, they picked the Warden.
Now you're stuck. Now, like, okay, well, who are we gonna get? Who are we gonna get here?
Dynamo. Haven't seen Dynamo in a while.
I'm trying to think of like the squishiest hero and just pair it on, just add it on to the fire, you know, and see what happens. But it has to be someone that's like semi-tanky that can take a
Mo
beating.
does make the most sense, but at the same time, it's like Mo has failed for so many teams who don't know how to sort of like. I feel like it's failed on teams that have picked him because he makes sense on paper, but they don't have a best way to integrate him. We've only seen Hydra Nation play good games with Mo so far.
Well, I would guess Mo or Geist going in.
Well, Geist would be a tank. Geist would be good. Okay, Shiv, tanky Shiv. Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose.
I guess.
I was gonna say, you know, Hydra Nation. What was their name before they became Hydra Nation?
Mahjong
and Krill. So if anyone's gonna know how to play against a Mo and Krill, it's probably gonna be them. So yeah, we're not gonna see it, unfortunately. Shiv coming in, and then you know, Hydra Nation, give it to us. Give us the Mo and Krill. Why not? Probably not gonna happen, but that'd be funny.
I think Hydra Nation ending with Ivy. Yeah, okay. That's a scary lineup that Hydra Nation has here.
Yeah. To be fair, I did Crystal Ball the Ivy 6 pick since the support was taking the other side. But yeah, I mean, just like the last game though, we didn't really favor Pass's draft either, but they made it work for them. Obviously, I think a part of that was due to the fact that Patron Pulverize just kind of like made some mistakes and Pass were able to capitalize off of it. But to be fair, right? Yeah, they don't have a tanky front line, but damn, they have pick potential. They have a lot of damage. If you get a paradoxical swap with someone, they're guaranteed to be dead. They have a decent amount of poke with Wraith Pocket, great talent, even Shiv with the daggers, the knives. They don't have necessarily a bad comp. It's a very high damage composition, but when it comes to like pure team fighting, I feel like that's where they're going to struggle a bit because they just don't have a front line to soak damage.
One thing that's interesting is that, you know, Hydra Nation don't have Lash, don't have Paradox. They don't really have, you know, some of those like pure initiators. Obviously, you know, Abrams to some extent can do some initiation, but yeah, there's not a lot of initiation. So I feel like that could be one advantage that Pass maybe has, compositionally speaking, if they're able to find those engagements where they're able to catch like a couple of players rotating and they get a good paradoxical swap and take out players early in that fashion. I feel like, you know, there could be a small edge there in how they might set up team fights.
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing here that might come back to bite Hydra Nation, they did not need the ban Bebop. Bebop was just I don't want to deal with that crap ban. And the penalty for doing that is you have to go against Paradox. If they were up against, say, Buff Enjoyers on an A ping and, you know, not taking a trip via Form to Spain or whatever like that, right? They're not giving up the Paradox in any situation. Giving up the Paradox here is a little bit of an ego play. I will say that pure and simple, given that we know what Paradox can do if played by a sufficiently skilled player. So if you have a really, really good Paradox player on Pass that can surpass expectations, it could be the path to Hydra Nation losing their first map ever here at Deadlock Fight Night. And I think that it could be an Achilles heel. We'll see.
I think the only realistic reason I see them banning away Bebop is just because, so they did this against Wallix a few weeks ago, right? But that was when Wallix had a really great game and we saw the Hyper Beam Bebop that you talked about a lot, DDK, where I think he saves his ability points and invests everything into his ultimate when he gets it online. I feel like they don't want to play against the Bebop they just saw, the Shadow Weave Bebop. Instead, they're like, okay, we'll ban it away because we don't want to have to play against it. Because Hydra Nation's shown the last weeks they are very good at playing against Bebop when it comes to the Hyper Beam and their positions. So maybe it's just coming down to that.
Yes, well, oh, what's that, CP?
I was gonna say, it makes perfect sense. I mean, also, I just think when, you know, Hydra Nation, they have coaches, right? And coaches like playing standard gameplay if they can. It's why teams, like, going back to Overwatch days, right? Teams hated playing against Chengdu Hunters because they played something unconventional most of the time. It was very hard to practice against. Most teams aren't running a Bebop right now, so if you want to keep your actual gameplay close to what you've practiced, getting rid of the Bebop just makes it good and standard.
All right, well, we say goodbye to Jason and we say hello to the first map of our best of 3 grand finals. Can Hydra Nation once again defend the crown? Now, Pass with a pretty good performance in the previous game. It's going to be interesting to see how they managed to do in the early game because they got kind of bullied in the early game in the last bout. So, okay, we've got 2 players on lane 4 right off the rip here, ZP, something we see in North America, but we don't really see in Europe.
Yeah, I think it's Unknown Omens leaking into Hydra Nation's playbook, what we're seeing here. And the fact that it's going into the Shiv lane is pretty interesting because, again, Shiv is one of those characters. Oh, God, it's Mercedes again. The nightmare just doesn't stop, Dan. Oh, boy.
Yep, it's having a bad day, but hey, maybe he's able to kind of just reframe it. If they're focusing on me, I can handle it, and I'm taking the pressure off my team. Maybe he's got like a good reframing, way to reframe it so he doesn't lose his goddamn mind.
Well, he's lost half his goddamn health to add on to that thing there already. So already struggle city for Mercedes in lane 4. Of course, being against Lefa on the Infernus, also not easy by any instance. One of the best players in the game on one of the best solo laners in the game. And Mercedes will have to play conservatively, which you can still do pretty effectively on Shiv with how good his shotgun is.
Yeah, and I'm going to do a quick shameless plug here. I featured Lefa on one of my recent videos talking about tracking aim, because his tracking aim is probably some of the top that's actually in this game. His tracking is incredible. He's a very good carry player. And so Lefa is very, very dangerous. So he's someone I'm going to keep an eye on as far as Hydra Nation is concerned, to just make sure that, he's not getting too out of control, which, as we say that, the burn damage will finish off Mercedes and will go down straight away. I guess this is a bit of a dive though, so there is a trade coming through. Alju able to respond. That's really important. However, DMB's coming over as well to maybe put the pressure onto Alju. So that lane 4 really seeing some action early on.
Everyone, party in lane 4, get over here. But look, that is really important to happen, right? Where Lefa is still going to walk away with about 300 soul lead, but it could have been a whole lot worse if he didn't die, absorbed another wave, and it was a 1,000 soul lead, right? So the rotation from Alju, really, really important to stop Lefa from getting his ramp into beast mode status, which we've seen Lefa do a lot over the last month.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to get there eventually. He's just got to slow it down a bit. That's the key. And so just looking at some of the other lanes, we've got the Abrams Wraith on lane 1 as well. And, as a newfound Abrams player, is that a matchup that you've experienced with, CP?
Abrams Wraith, I mean, look, Wraith can... It's a more even matchup overall. There's not a whole lot that's going to kill Abrams unless you let yourself get poked low and then to a range where you could get card bursted. But Wraith herself is also kind of hard to focus down in turn, so long as she doesn't do something like push away too much and get to a zone where Abrams can freeze and deny her. But overall, I would expect that lane to be largely even until ganks come into play. And speaking of ganks, lane 3, 3-man rotation right now from Pass. Hydra Nation on the Mirage, and Visca's just gonna back up a little bit. And it's Alju right now, Dan, that's really trying to be a playmaker.
Yeah, very active going into lane 2 here to try to find an opening pick, but it looks like Hydra Nation are going to be able to withstand that push. And Alju not finding really the love that he's looking for in the early stages, but that is helping his teammates, though, take control of these lanes and alleviate some of the pressure from them.
My team won't let me hear the end of it.
Well, you see here in the lane, McGinnis right now just saying, I'm going to drop a turret up here, and you still have to be careful pushing McGinnis in lane just because of all the ways that wall can really work against you, especially when you have the burst of a Talon here. So, for Pass, I expect this lane, especially versus like Warden Ivy, to be mostly neutral. You're not going to have tons of playmaking from those two. Again, it comes down to rotations, and speaking of rotations, Lefa, public enemy number 1. We've seen 3-man rotations onto him in the past. And instead, though, they decide, no, he's backing up. We're going to go back into lane instead.
Yeah, I like the timing of that because Mercedes has a lot of souls to, hold that thought, because we've got a push coming through here. The Puddle Punch has dodged it. As Paradox, Salty is going to be able to make the escape. Kinetic Carbine coming through, but the Google will prevent it from doing anything. So able to get out of there well, I say that, but actually we still have the pressure on from DMB. Up on the rooftop, have to jump away, and this is kind of a precarious scenario. Lefa's joined the ranks now, looking to try to take down Mercedes again. Mercedes cannot avoid the bullying. It is actually outrageous. And in comes Alju to try to make something happen between the satchels and the cloaks. And in comes Wraith as well. Everybody is coming to lane number 3 to show their hand. And it looks like, after all said and done, ZP, Hydra Nation get a bit of a win because they get the Guardian down as well.
Oh, it's not done yet. That's the scary part. It's still not done. Everyone, pile into lane 3 to an extent here. It might now be heading to more done, but no, as I say that, Owl comes in, blows DMB, the Kingdom Come. Now, Paradox, Salty, under pressure, dives into the subway. Alju falls. Paradox peeking out of the subway now, drops the Carbine, as Lefa ends up getting taken out once more, and take a look. Another zipline into lane 3. This is the NA special right now. We continue to fight in one lane. Neither side letting it go here just yet, Dan.
It's like this Brawl Stars or something. I don't know if I've even played that game. I don't even know what it looks like, but I assume that everyone's fighting all the time. And this is actually quite wild because now the push from Hydra, it was Hydra Nation's tower, but now it's come all the way back to Pastor's side of things on lane 3, and the pursuit continues. And I mean, they should at least potentially be able to get a little bit of damage on that Guardian, but it's not substantial. And we got a fight here. Leffa fighting on lane 4, and he's going to be able to take down Mercedes, but off of the zip is going to be Alju, who's going to try to finish off Leffa and does trade it out. This is beautiful. Mercedes has been having problems, but I feel like the communication must be really good, ZP, because every time Mercedes is having some trouble and getting a little behind, the teammates come in. The teammates come in at the right moment to either trade the kill or to create the space so that Mercedes can farm a little bit. And Mercedes 4.5k was 1k behind Leffa earlier and is now 200 scores ahead.
I feel like Leffa's going to get to a point where they hear a ribbit or a croak somewhere in real life and they just immediately start shuddering, just without any abandon because of just how Alju has been going out of his way to limit Leffa with rotation after rotation. And look, I think you look at the map movement that Alju has had here thus far, it's been pretty solid. I think Alju's been one of the key members of keeping pass in this early game. And hey, Dan, maybe it's like you said, it's a tryout buff.
Yeah, but what he doesn't know is he's actually trying out for Hydra Nation because we know what they're up to.
Oh, no. Also, historically true, Mercedes takes down DMB in the Cosmic Veil Cubby. But more pressure coming on the Mercedes. Goo Ball smashes into him against the wall. So once again, another trade out, 34k to 36k. And you look at trends here across the game, and all this trading out has made it relatively even, Dan. Everyone at 6 and 5k respectively. Swap in progress here for Salty, looking for extra damage. Damage going into the Abrams. Drops Siphon Life over the top, but here comes Leffa. Concussive Combustion over and in. Does not hit the Paradox, but still bringing the fire all the same. Round and round the statue we go. Braeden burning down to and fro, and you see now Abrams gets the hit of... Oh, no. Gets a hit of his own parry, and one good parry deserves another. Parry to parry down. Hydra Nation get the better of a very chaotic fight, and Dan, the action's still going.
All right, man. North American Deadlock goes just so hard. It just goes hard. I don't know what else to describe it. Okay, so lane 3 just seems to be an absolute war zone, and somehow the Guardians are still up on both sides. It's unbelievable. There's the parry for the Guardian on the dive. Mercedes trying to make it happen here, but in comes 3 players, well, 2 extra players at the very least, and Mercedes goes down. It seemed like a dive worth a shake, but it's Mercedes that ends up going down. So, okay, all right, okay. Some breathing room for maybe about 10 seconds. So we take stock, 44k to 41k. We've got a slight edge here. 3 Guardians down in favor of Hydra Nation. They are 2 Guardians in advantage over Pass. So, interestingly, if Pass were to equalize Guardians, they'd actually be up a little bit in souls.
I think Pass is not really out of it or even really tangibly too far behind. The last sequence of tradeouts did give Hydra Nation some key breakpoints. I think it also led them getting a few key items, particularly when you look at Rocker hitting 9k. That's about the time that you get an extra 3k item on Abrams. So there is a little bit more of an advantage than it might seem, but it should be a pretty ephemeral one unless Hydra Nation just take a really good team fight soon, which might be the case, Dan, as buffs come up in 10 seconds.
Okay, so looks like we'll get a fight here over the lane 2 bridge. And okay, the turn up from Hydra Nation is amazing. It's very dominant, and unfortunately for them, the urn spawns in that location as well. So Hydra Nation taking quite the edge now. And this could begin to become problematic. Now the question is, how does Pass decide to respond to the urn, which actually hasn't been collected just yet? To be honest, CP, it feels like the teams that collect the first urn actually end up being at more of a disadvantage. Oh my god! Like he's been pushed into the bathrooms. His head's like they're pushed into the toilet. They're flushing it.
You're not having bullying without a little bit. You're not having bullying without a little bit push into the bathrooms. But yeah, Mercedes down. And the question is how the urn is going to be used here as a bargaining chip. Braeden, though, that's the classic. Hop on in with Wraith, drop telekinesis, walk away. So both teams lose one. Hydra Nation, though, getting the walker. And the urn right now not really being used as bargaining chip whatsoever. It is urn number 1. The 10-minute urn distinctly worth way less than the others in terms of net effect of the game, but oh boy. Rocker goes for the charge. Doesn't connect it to the wall and says, you know what, Talon? You get to live this time. You live another day.
Indeed.
Headed to York.
Okay, so Pass, or rather, Hydra Nation managing to kind of just like, they're very good at finding good timing windows to just push something, and they managed to take away a walker. So their objective edges are now starting to compound, and Pass are starting to get further and further behind. They need something to go their way. Some pressure onto the Ivy here. Pass, can they find a way to finish this one off? I don't think there's enough players to respond to this for Pass, and they may end up losing everyone they've invested. Mercedes is here on that Shiv, and he's going to try to escape here, but there's Flick. With that, Viscous, trying to dash away, and there's no escape. Mercedes goes down yet again. And
Mercedes,
indeed, the urn, they're not really looking to pick it up.
Yeah, it might get used eventually, though. You do get to a point in the game where if it's at around 14 minutes, you just kind of let it go because it's not worth the most soul-wise, and you know a new urn is going to spawn. Or, if you want to be cheeky, there is something else you could do here, Dan. Is you could grab the urn and just hold it until the 15-minute mark goes and just ruin the soul output of the urn, too. I don't think teams have really done that a whole lot, but you can sort of mitigate the impact of the 15-minute urn if you just make sure that this urn is being held before a new urn would spawn.
Ooh, that is devious. Well, it's an urn location, at least, that is pretty favorable to Pass. Obviously, it spawns towards their side of the map. And interestingly, had the urn been picked up earlier, I actually believe it would have been a neutral location, but maybe it won't really end up mattering too much.
I see biscuits.
Well, we're looking at Salty now. Paradox playmaker moves on in, swap in on the Mirage. Mirage gonna try and tornado away, but very, very wounded in process. Braeden, there in the finish. So Paradox, still good on pickoffs. Carbine, over and in, cubed on Viscous, comes in the play, goes for the goo ball on the way out as the barrage just comes in from the back. Flick not wanting any part of that. And you take a look at the situation. Lefa says, it's go time. Concussive combustion in. Focused on the McGinnis. Gets Carbine. Pressure coming in. McGinnis in their own health station, not able to live. Lefa laying on the power. Over and in. Gets the Paradox too. And 3 quick pickoffs from Hydra Nation here, Dan. Keeping them in a good spot. Urn, meanwhile, back at its usual location.
Overwatch players have the best aim. I think it's the best game to get like high-level aim. I've talked to some aim training coaches about this, and they agree about that. I don't have time to really get into that, but if you're wondering why Lefa's tracking aim is just unbelievable, that is the reason why.
Some good aimers have come out of that game, regardless. Think back to the glory days, when Defran was in competition making French players go. It's like, well, he's either cheating or the best player ever. And getting that sort of, confession out of a French player, it's not hard. You have to be really, really good, as it turns out. But the urn, I think they are just trying to make the urn not worth much here, Dan. If they hold on to this for 30 seconds, Pass doesn't have a great urn to use for the 15-minute urn. This feels like urn sabotage. I'm gonna be honest.
Yep. Yeah. That's not cool, man. That is not cool. All right, well. Mercedes actually, honestly, given how much punishment Mercedes takes, I'm always surprised at like how well Mercedes is able to kind of just stay in the game in terms of souls.
Yeah.
Big movement. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's interesting, especially on Shiv, where sometimes you get put into a hole and it's bad. Oh, look, Dan, they held onto the urn until right over 15 minutes and they dropped it. That urn is not a very worthwhile urn right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Forgot about that. And we got a push on lane 4 happening at the moment. DMB is on the receiving end of 3 players looking to get that walker down. At the same time, Hydra Nation are trying to push that lane 2. So split pushing happening. 3 players on either side. Puddle punch coming in. Looks like Hydra Nation will try to disconnects themselves from that lane 2 push, but at the same time, lane 4, Walker, for Hydra Nation is at risk.
And the telekinesis is still there. Braeden got stunned, so the telekinesis never left her hands. And Hydra Nation, I mean, if they look at the ults, they'll see it's still up, but they might not realize it because it was going on the rocker. Rocker, though, finish off. Braeden says you can't cast telekinesis when you're dead. Lefa dropping the fire on the ground, moving around. Now laying the damage in the Mercedes. Mercedes, as a card, usually doesn't catch fire this easily, but you're against Infernus. Well, I got news for you. You're about to burst into flames. Lefa finishes it off and says, oh, and another one. Paradox, let's fight. Will they live? Likely, with hydration coming in from the back.
That's so difficult because Lefa knows that that the Shiv wants to get the killing blow, right? And at the same time, there's one way to get the killing blow is if the Shiv goes for like the melee charge. But the Shiv knows this. Mercedes knows this. So I think what we should have seen is like a fake melee charge. Might have gone pretty hard there to force the parry. And then you get them to kind of miss with the parry. But yeah, that's like some of the micro stuff going on there. Really like high level stuff from Lefa, avoiding that situation. And it's getting worse here for Pass as the push comes through on this lane 3. And the fight, there's going to be a disengage momentarily for Pass, or rather for Hydra Nation, before the re-engage comes in after they recommit Mercedes into the fight. And right now it looks like Hydra Nation are beginning to run away with things here, ZP.
The gap is getting bigger, and you take a look, they don't care about the urn. This was a sabotaged urn. That's a 10-minute urn being delivered at 17 minutes. And truth be told, it's still
basically fraud.
Yeah, I mean, it still has some degree of comeback mechanic to it. It does even up the souls a little bit, but Hydra Nation is still nursing a nearly 20k lead. And again, I think it just comes down to the fact they didn't care too much about that urn going to the wayside. And
it actually makes so much sense now that you've explained it all, ZP. That if you want to like reduce, if you're winning and there's a comeback mechanic and you can make the comeback mechanic worse, you should do that.
Yes. I mean, the real test for me is that if they didn't do urn, would they have done it again before the 20-minute urn? Just be like, we want this urn to be as crap as possible.
Love a surprise.
But yeah, it's interesting. Jason bringing up the items also has the idea is it's a life strike Shiv, so it's an old favorite. It checks out, but hold the phone. Engage coming on in. Flick, open up the goo ball, airdrop, last stand, all invested here by Hydra Nation, and it collapses directly on top of Mead. It's not Mercedes getting the brunt of it this time. You look here in the Warden, dashing through, getting stymied a little bit by the time wall. Spooky though down, pass down 2. Alju falling in turn in this fight around the moat, scrappy as Hydra Nation picks up 4, and when you lose 4 in mid, Dan, that's a mid boss.
It is indeed, yeah, you were talking about that earlier. And this might be something that teams become more aware of in the future, is if mid boss is up, you have a protocol where you just don't take committed fights in certain locations, which would allow, should you lose the fight, for an easy mid boss. But like protocols are really important at the top level, and it's something that obviously it's very early days, so I'm sure we'll see that in the future.
Jason in our channel also brought up something else. It's like, wow, hydration with most souls in his war. And the one thing about hydration, and why you'll see hydration regardless of hero usually get ahead, is that hydration does better box routes in the game than most. But hold on, gets the stun before the telekinesis comes off. However, Abram's still under pressure, but the telekinesis eventually hits. Goes unstoppable off the seismic slam. Under pressure from all ends. Rocker buying up more than he could chew. Quig came in for the assist, also getting thrown into the dumpster. Pass up 2 right now in this fight. See Salty working around the time wall. Gets him low enough for Mercedes to finish off hydration, and this is a very nice fight for Pass here so far. If Hydra Nation's coming back up off the rejuve, it evens the score here, Dan.
Oh wow, this is really, really important to be on the killing blow. Oh, it's not going to be able to connect because the cube is going to block it, trying to slide through the veil, and there's a insane parry to finish off Mercedes. But these are key fights here because they've got obviously the rejuve. You're trying to prevent them from taking major objectives with that rejuve. And a straight up fight might be the one to do it, but you don't want to get wiped. 3 players who were killed with the rejuves are back up in the action right now. They're on the zips all the way across to the fight. And if you're past now, you just have to prevent the bleeding. You can't die at this point because you have to be able to defend the base and prevent the progress of Hydra Nation, who has that rejuve on 3 players still.
Yeah, and Hydration, after getting back up, after getting hit by the killing blow, says, okay, you guys push lane 4, keep everything nice, warm, and toasty over here, because the urn is coming on in. And for Pass, you don't want to give up this urn. Already, you're behind around 25k. The damage to your economy is going to be incredible should Hydration turn it in. The problem is the map presence from Hydra Nation is too strong. The urn goes in uncontested, and now, Dan, that deficit has grown to nearly about 35,000. So the window of opportunity for Pass here is starting to close. And I don't know entirely what they're going to be able to do to bring it back into play. It's turning into Hydra Nation's game to lose.
Absolutely. And one of the scary things also is, we talked about it earlier, it's like we know that Left is going to get ahead. We just have to slow him down so you can make it, stay competitive and still be able to be good enough to sustain the damage output on those team fights. But Left is now in a position where, he's beginning to power spike pretty hard in the Infernus, and that's very worrying because there's not really all that much to really deal with that. There's so much of a front line and that can be in front of Leffa as well. It's going to be hard to even single him out and so on if he's smart with the positioning. So lots of problems right now, and there's another one. Flick rolling on through with the cue ball.
No. Once again, wow. Mercedes has been the target of a multi-person gank here at Deadlock Fight Night North America. But I got news for you, Hydra Nation. They're not necessarily done yet. Swap, though, in on the Flick. Flick in danger, taken on down. Paradox still deadly, even when this far ahead. But now we look to Hydration. A very Fed Warden. For now, just looking to get Shrine damage. Drops the Flask into the back. The finishing blow on the Spooky on top. Pass. Only 2 members left alive as Hydra Nation go. We're taking down the Shrines. We're taking down the Patron. And Dan, even without a Rejuvenator in play, this could be GG. We'll see what Hydra Nation does.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like it. They don't really have... The issues, even if they're up actually at this point, Hydra Nation is so far ahead on power, individual hero power. You've got Leper here, he's not going to die. Just the nature of the lifesteal, the spirit lifesteal. So this is looking pretty desperate indeed for Pass. Patron, the weakened version, is getting focus fired at this point. Dive comes in, it's still sustaining some damage. Pass still down 3 players. Everyone up for Hydra Nation, and that's going to be it. Map 1 here for Hydra Nation in the grand finals, looking to, I don't know, what is it called when you win 5 times in a row?
Quintuple.
What's
a quintuple.
That called?
It'd be a quintuple.
5P?
Yeah, because a quadruple would be 4. Quintuple would be...
Quint-P?
Yeah, Quint-P. Yeah, close enough. I mean, look, you don't
it doesn't
really
sound
get
very
to
good, so I don't...
Look, you don't get to that situation a whole lot in any form of sports, so it's not like a word we've had to go to. It usually stops at 3. But, yeah, Hydra Nation just continuing their reign of excellence here in Map 1. Not that there weren't interesting points. I think that you think about Salty on the Paradox, they'll found Hex himself will come on to lay down the law. That's it. That's the final word on that.
To be fair, I am adding 1 Seagull per every sub he gets, so not my fault.
You're gonna run out of room, just to be clear. But as we go
prove it, Seagulls chat. Make me run out of room. I dare you.
As we actually go into the game, what I want to know here is that I think part of the reason why the last game was even as close as it was that Paradox did a whole lot for Pass. It's the one character that right now a lot of teams don't like giving up unless they're getting something ridiculous in return. Does Hydra Nation once again go, we don't want to deal with any Bebop funny business, and go with what many people consider to be a more suboptimal Bebop ban, and then go, you can have the Paradox, you still won't beat us with it. I'm very curious to see what the ban is going to be coming out of Hydra Nation here as a result.
All right.
I think production's also interested in knowing what it is. Actually, no, I guess it's past their first ban. I thought it was supposed to be Hydra Nation doing the first ban.
It just keeps going back and forth.
Did I start this? Did I mess it up with the Seagulls?
I mean, it's very possible. It couldn't have helped. Well, let's be clear. There's no universe in where it helped. But Dan, you take a look at it. Hydra Nation says we're going to help ourselves to a no Bebop game.
All right. Well, okay. Hayden. Okay. Well, Flick can't play the Paradox. Okay. So we've established this at least. But Viscous is obviously still online. I feel like these are the main talking points I'm sort of following up on from what you previously established. Is Viscous a pick that we're going to see going Hydra Nation's way once again? I feel like that's one of the main things here. They go instantly for the Infernus, so just keeping comfort there for Lefa. Super comfort pick. And pretty guaranteed to, again, you know that he's going to come online at some point and just destroy. So that's pretty nice. Now the question is, what does Pass want to go with? The shift didn't seem effective. It would be nice to see Mercedes on something that is actually able to like play. Not in the sense that Mercedes is not playing well, but just like, you know, a hero that is both a bit more solid and also doesn't get bullied as hard.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Mercedes still did extremely well considering the amount of ganks that went his way. Like, he was still up there in souls, but I'm curious what happens if he doesn't get punished. Will Mercedes start to carry the team to victory here? Obviously, the Mirage could be coming through. We kind of expected that one as a first pick for Pass. And the Wraith, okay. So pretty similar picks from last time.
And now that they've gone that, I feel like the real decision there was, do you go Wraith or Viscous? If you consider them... Oh, wow. Okay. That was the anti-Alju pick. Normally, Hydra Nation, they're picking Viscous there. They're saying, we would rather you have Viscous or prove that you want to pick Viscous than give Alju Pocket, given that Alju has been also one of the biggest thorns in their side, along with Salty on the Paradox. So all the early game power that they had in the last game, between Alju, between Salty and Paradox, they're going to have to find a different solution. And I got news for you. There's not better roamers in the game, overall.
Yeah, and with
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, with the 7 coming in so soon as well, it might be that we see DMB and also Mirage being on Pass. It might be that we see DMB playing Infernus and see Lefa playing 7, actually. That might be a different look that we could expect from Hydra Nation here.
I'm also just curious why I don't feel like 7 was going to be a highly contested pick. Why not just go for Viscous and Pocket together instead of 7 and Pocket?
Yeah, I mean, it also could be who knows? Like, there's so many examples here where a team that feels like their head can be like, we can experiment a little bit, we can do this. Or, I mean, 7 is a pick that I think Pass may have decided to go with there. There might have been the idea of like, well, Wraith, Mirage, and Infernus are off the board. If we want to get one more character to round it out, get the 7 before that goes away, because if not, then now you're looking at playing Haze. Maybe that's a situation. The Abrams early, I mean, it makes sense. Rocker and Flick are both really, really good on Abrams, and Hydra Nation favors it a lot. And if you don't pick Abrams and pick Viscous instead, Hydra Nation picks the Abrams in your stead. The problem is now is that your Wraith is going to be less effective because you gave up the Viscous. But McGinnis now being taken by Pass.
Yeah, solid pickup. I'm imagining we're going to see like an Ivy out of Hydra Nation. I feel like we don't really see too much Kelvin for some... I think it's like too much... No, I feel like we don't see too much Kelvin at NA off the top of my head, but I could be completely wrong here. It is like 3 a.m. for me.
I think Hydra Nation would grab it for Quig. If it's gone to 6, I think... Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah,
it's 3 a.m. is my excuse. So they have their support. So they're leaving one more pick for last. Again, I'm looking towards someone to be a front line for them. I know
Lash maybe.
I was thinking Lash or Mo, honestly. Like, I know Hydration can play Viscous. I know he can play Mo and Krill. I don't know. I just kind of want to see like another beefy frontliner for them.
Could I mean, I was about to say it could get a Yamato as well, because you know at the moment they don't have their damage output necessarily on lock just yet. So Yamato definitely adds to that. So and that's going to be an interesting look as well, because we didn't see a Yamato present in the last game at all from either team. So now I would really like to see like a Lash or some extra initiation, and obviously Bebop is banned. That would be kind of a final pick I would be really happy with for Pass. Where are you guys seeing these final picks go? Ooh, we haven't seen Vindicta in a minute.
Well, mental mode is in play. I think even though Vindicta, I think, is like a solid pick and has probably been a little undervalued, I think there's ways you can make Vindicta work, especially if you go her just absolutely horrific Crow build, where if you get ahead of Vindicta and you get to turn Crow into effectively a Affliction that can kill. It's really annoying, especially if you're playing Pocket, who also has Affliction. Like, you think you're in DOT hell when you just have Infernus Pocket, add in Crows that don't go away and have escalating exposure. But Mo and Krill coming in from Pass, okay, I mean, this is a very, very heavy front line. Between Yamato, Mo and Krill, Abrams, you even have McGinnis Wall on top of it. Wraith and Mirage will have an enormous amount of space to work with here, but On the other hand, if you clump up at all, I just feel like the level of damage over time coming out from Hydra Nation's comp is going to be so obnoxious to where, even though it's not usually highly prioritized in comp, like you see it every now and then as an item, but again, it's not something people heavily go to. You look at Hydra Nation's comp, it's a debuff remover game. It is pure and simple a debuff remover game. I think that is one item you actually prio way harder than normal in the setup.
Just want to say, by the way, the Vindicta, the last time we saw it played was on the 9th. It was the very first Deadlock fight night, and it was Hydra Nation against Catgirl and friends. And Vindicta ended off with 18 kills, 4 deaths. So if anyone knows how to play Vindicta, it's definitely gonna be Hydra Nation here. I don't know if it's got the same level of impact, but the funny thing is I actually like Pass's team comp way better than I like Hydra Nation's. I feel like it's just a little bit more complete all around.
All right, well, with that, I think Jason goes away for a little bit as he is our analyst for this one. And it's you and me here, ZP, for Hydra Nation versus Pass. And with the comps as they are, do you feel like you like Pass's chances any better, or are we going to see a shutdown again?
I mean, on paper, I think Pass is running something that's been proven more traditionally effective. I think Hydra Nation, there's an element of experimentation, I feel like I go here. Or it's just, you know, the hidden comp where they've already tested it and it's really good. I mean, again, I feel like the problem here for team fights for Pass is going to need quick team fights. They need good, quick, either Abrams kills or Wraith telekinesis kills. You cannot take a long team fight versus Pocket, Vindicta, Infernus, particularly if the Vindicta decides to prioritize Crow build, which I think is going to be the case because that is the main build you see Vindictas go at high and Mar right now. It is just horrifyingly annoying.
And, you know, we get the Vindicta on the fourth lane to add some assistance to just damage the Wraith down a little bit to make Lefa's life, not Lefa, DMB's life easier. Flick on the Vindicta. The Vindicta is also going to be able to have a lot of control potentially in the mid 2 lanes because of the flight. It allows you to get, you know, between those 2 lanes and get really good angles. Stake ganks as well really can be really effective.
Dan, look at lane 4. Left DMB pressured Mercedes all the way back to lane. That alone is going to be about like a wave and a half to, you know, even 2 waves worth of farm.
Oh, well, hold the phone. We do have some assistance. Salty coming in to try to at least recover something here, pressuring DMB down. Can we get a charge to connect? Yes, we can. The melee there. The parry's missed. The health is very low. The car's going through, but it's not going to find the kill onto DMB. DMB able to escape there. And in the meantime, first blood comes from Lefa here onto the Mo and Krill. And Rocket taking down Alju as well.
You know, the interesting thing there, Abrams didn't actually charge Infernus into the wall. He did not get stunned there, so if DMB was smashing the parry button, Salty would have gotten parried. But either way, he doesn't die. Hydra Nation already up 2. I mean, the 7K, the 4K looks horrifying. It's not, you know, lanes will be pushed out soon. It shouldn't be that bad, so long as you don't have another death in the moment. But regardless, it's not a pretty start right now for Pass. Hydra Nation, everything that could go well early thus far has.
Oh, Mercedes really feeling it here as well. It's a very difficult lane. And it's not just, you know, any Infernus, it's Lefa who just doesn't miss.
It's DMB in this case.
DMB, yeah, right, you're right.
Yeah, DMB gets the Infernus prio in this instance. Lefa gets stuck on Eat the Jungle duty.
I even called it in the draft. What am I doing?
You did. Yeah, but we've also seen like 8 million games of Lefa on Infernus, so it's a hard habit to break.
It is tough in this game. You get those associations and you get betrayed. Well, as you said, you know, early lead, but it's early in the game, so not too much to make of that lead just yet. However, Lefa is pretty much permanently taking residence on the stairs, down from the Guardian, right below the enemy Guardian on lane 4. So really creating problems to Mercedes and getting those last hits. Might need some more assistance there to deal with Lefa. Lefa going to be flame dashing away, I think, into lane 3. Might get followed, actually, by Mercedes, potentially, but Mercedes will take the farm, but Lefa going for the gank on lane 3, as we see the gank coming through here on lane number 1 as well.
Yeah, quick going down, not a bad get. The thing that worries me a little bit, although I said hang on Pocket, under a whole lot of pressure as Mo comes in. So close, yet so far. Rocker actually might have been true 1 HP. But the thing I worry a little bit about when you talk about the laning situation here, the Infernus Wraith lane has gotten a little bit out of hand for Mercedes. It's nearly a double difference between DMB and Mercedes, which kind of means that Mercedes can't contest DMB in lane anymore at this point. Infernus can just sort of stat check Mercedes until help comes in. And it's a rough spot to be in, and it means that Mercedes has to play more passive, is more likely to get denied. Speaking of passive and setups here, Hydration just looking for the perfect puddle punch.
Well, Lef is just having too much fun here. Oh my god, he's going for it. Oh my goodness. There's a card coming through, but so much heal also for Leper, able to just dive this with him. Just impervious. Is impervious to damage, it seems. That's just, that feels very scary. It feels like each game it gets worse for Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, and also that was just the nature of how the lane started off bad. DMB was able to get a head up on the Infernus, and it's a stat check in the end. When you get that far behind in lane, you need help or you need to swap lanes or anything is, it just goes from bad to worse. Things explode over here in lane 3. 2 kills, blink and you miss them, the Hydra Nation. 24k to 17k now. And you look at the overall farm situation of the team, it's rough. Quig says, I'm gonna get you, McGinnis, comes on over on the ice path, drops the Arctic Beam, finishes it off. Giving Pocket that extra little bit of bonus. And you see the pressure here on the DMB, trying to even things out a little bit here in lane 4. Is DMB gonna get caught? He does. But 29k to 21k, Dan, this is just getting grim.
It really is. And no, 2 Guardians are down for pass though. So, you know, some of that value is just going to be those Guardians. So, and with that gank onto DMB, that's definitely encouraging for pass and their chances to bring themselves back into this one. Just slowing down DMB ever so slightly. Already at 5k, but so is Rocker and Flick and Quig and Leopard. I mean, everyone's having a good time on the farm there for Hydra Nation overall, as they have a really strong early game.
Yeah, and Dan, when I look at this here, I look at, okay, who can make a play right now in Hydra Nation? And the number, for the most part, you're looking at Spooky. And as I say that, well, the combo begins. So Spooky says, yeah, you're right, I can't make a play. Heavy damage, though, going on the Salty, as you see DMB rush on in. Braeden also incredibly low. Cube out from Hydration, saves him from Braeden. Braeden falls, and again, these are not trade-outs like last game, where Pass had the Paradox. This is just outright kills and trending towards an outright slaughter.
Yeah, it's really becoming quite problematic. Okay, and another gang coming in from BNB, getting behind Mercedes on lane 4. And there's this distance as well. Vindicta, Viscus coming across also. I don't know that there's any way to escape here. And there it is. Mercedes going down again. This is feeling very bad right now for Pass. As it seems like it's just anything that Hydra Nation want, they are finding. Oh my god, they're bullying so hard right now, DP. It feels like they're able to take this, like, what should be disadvantageous fights, but because the farm is so ahead for them, they can just do it anyway.
Again, we've entered stat check territory, which is just, in a lot of these fights, any given member of Hydra Nation can walk up on any given member of Pass and just say, what's up? And you have to back off, you have to hope for help. And you take a look here. Here we go again. DMB walks on in, gets lifted by the telekinesis into the walker. Could get chain stunned, but doesn't matter. Flick comes on in, drops the snipe on the Mercedes. And 43k to 30k. Dan, I'm not sure it's getting any closer than this.
Yeah, I fear the same. Lots of pressure on that walker, probably going down. Deep making presence known, but can't really do anything there against Hydration. And this is certainly problematic. Still some objectives for Hydra Nation to farm. And it seems like they can kind of pick and choose whatever they want at this point.
Yeah, the map is theirs. And it's rare to have this level of map control at 8.5 minutes. And yet here we are. And we haven't even had the first earn spawn yet. Here we go, Kelvin. Ice path over the top. Looking to chill down McGinnis. A little bit of damage on the Abrams. Salty falling in turn. And this continues to just add on here, Dan, where just no matter what Hydra Nation does, it works. Also, Flick is getting a lot of kills off this on top of it. I don't know if Flick has the final level of Assassinate yet, but it's just something that is piling on and piling on. The only light at the end of the tunnel here is that the Urn at 10 minutes will be in Pass's territory and they're running the beginners. So the Urn could function as a comeback mechanic here, but they also have to be able to show themselves on the map without instantly getting concussively combust by DMB.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a really big problem. And looks like, they got a lot of players here past towards the left side of the map where the Urn, could spawn. And goodbye, Mirage, question mark. Oh my.
I will take this Walker.
Really well done, actually. Having to give that one up for now, but there is assistance here, and they know there's players low there, so Salty is going to have problems on the Abrams, probably going to go down. Yep, there it is, under the Walker, and they'll get the Walker too, so they don't really care.
Let's push blue.
It's about to be a 20k soul lead as mid buffs and Urn take the stage. Take a look at mid buffs. At least Spooky wants to try and contest for one. Spooky maybe gonna get it over the 7. It's a little bit ambiguous on the minimap. Next time we see them, we'll have an idea. And, oh no, DMB, don't do it, man. Don't go for Mercedes again. And Mercedes is dead.
3v1. Ganging up on him is already unfair, but and that's the Urn under control as well, so they can just pick that up. And to be honest, they could run the Urn into their opponent's side of the map. Like, they legitimately could do that.
Yeah, I think this is... You saw last game where they just stalled out the Urn because they didn't want to take a disadvantageous fight, and they still wanted to deny the comeback mechanic. Well, in this game, in this situation, where you're an 11k Infernus that has the survival mid buff, no one gets to tell you what to do, Dan. You make your own rules. Do whatever you want.
True. And what's crazy is it really feels like they can just do this. They're going to do it. They are going for it. It's happening. The first Urn going into the enemy side. This is quite crazy, but we'll see if there's anything that can be done to stop this. Looks like Mechanist is going to be in some trouble here. Indeed, gets taken down. And Hydra Nation just farming the kills.
Dan, DMB looked Kelvin in the eyes and just could have emoted at him and just said, I'm turning this in your face. What are you going to do about it? That's some like Michael Jordan talking trash on the court level stuff. Ice cold from DMB. I mean, honestly, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but what more can you do right now? This is just, it's a crush. Yeah, it's a patron pulverizing without the pulverizers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's bad. it's bad. Well, here's a big team fight for Past off the rip, off the respawn, off the ropes. They're coming in to see what they can do, if they can get anything done here. DMB goes down quick, he's taking some heat, but able to escape briefly with the ice path with that potentially, but the pursuit from Yamato. Algae not giving up on this one, popping the ult, but that's going to wear off in a second, and Algae has no HP, goes down. Wow, there we go. 2 extra kills going the way of Past to close the distance slightly, but Rocker is actually owning people on this pocket. Cooldown's coming up, will be available in 5 seconds. And looks like Hydration also able to stay up here. So after all said and done, a few kills go the way of Pass, but still a huge soul difference. Nice find on Hydration though. Maybe I spoke too soon.
Well,
never mind.
You look at all the souls Mercedes got there. I don't know if Mercedes is gonna get away, as Mercedes is just simply losing all life to the flames of Infernus. But overall, Pass actually catches up a little bit. The problem though is that it's still a 30,000 soul lead. This is just not something easy to come back from. Tornado comes on in, sets the stage. Alju can't get away. 7 goes, let's summon the storm. In over the top, Mirage and Mo and Krill just getting chunked on down. And again, I said it in the beginning, I'll say it here now. It's stat check city at the moment. Hydra Nation can disregard the rules of Deadlock and do whatever they want, where you can engage in fisticuffs with an Abrams. This is the power you have at the moment if you're Hydra Nation.
Yes, indeed. Quite the opposite of the games we had in Europe. Extremely long, extremely close. But here, Hydra Nation continue their domination. And just taking down all of the towers, all of the objectives, leaving no hope for Pass.
Yeah, I mean, the Pass hope now kind of goes into the realm of, oh, we need the remake because a player has gotten disconnected and there's been a version update and they can't reconnect to the game because the version has updated. Like, you're literally praying to Gabe Newell for that level of just shenanigans. As the telekinesis comes in and Mercedes falls immediately. because it doesn't matter if you have telekinesis when the other team is at 20k. It just, you can do nothing.
Yeah, this is not looking very fun. So Vindicta making a second appearance and might just be a second win. So 100% win rate at the Deadlock Fight Night. And all the shrines are now getting pressured down. And slowly but surely, looks like we're about to have a conclusion here. As I don't think Hydra Nation need to ever stop pushing. They are just Mercedes right in the game. I think we're losing, guys.
You know,
So too.
honestly, I think while things have not gone awry, or things have gone awry for PAS here, I think their estimation of the situation is actually very accurate. Does that help their situation at all? No. No, it doesn't. In fact, I would say, for lack of a better term, they are quite screwed, as the Patron has been turned into its second form, and Hydra Nation show no signs of stopping. And nearly a 70k soul lead here, and 60k. It
Might be one of the fastest games we've had, actually, ZP.
For Deadlock Fight Night, it absolutely is. It's gonna go over the 15-minute mark, but not much over than that. As everything for PAS simply crumbles to ash. And Hydra Nation, the $1,000 Insight Dan, they can feel it, they can taste it, they can touch it.
Well, I mean, they could delay this. They could just not kill the patron. I mean, to be honest, it wouldn't be too surprising.
Well, here we go.
So Jason is telling me that 16:25 is our shortest game, so this could still beat it.
It's looking in the Patron. It's at half here, Dan. Hydra Nation on their way to becoming the 5-time champions here at Deadlock Fight Night. The Patron is low. Alju gets a kill on the flick, but it is inevitable. The Patron goes on lower and lower, and it is Hydra Nation, your champions once more.
Setting a new record at 1550. Hydra Nation. Who is going to stop them? That is the question that remains. Maybe there'll be some stability that starts to happen in the North American scene in terms of some of the top rosters so that we can get some solid challenges for Hydra Nation. But until then, they are the most dominant. They are the kings of the throne. The kings of the throne. That sounds uncomfortable if there's only one throne. There's multiple kings. But either way, I mean, you can't fault them. Here's EP. This is. They have not dropped a single map.
Yeah, and right now the hope for NA, said in whispers, would probably be the new Ido team, which is trying to be billed as a new super team. I believe they've called themselves the Llama Lords. So maybe the Llama Lords could come in next week and lop off a head or two off the Hydra, but it was not PAS. PAS showed that they could, at least turn things into the typical NA scrum in map 1 when they were able to get Paradox and Pocket and have a really good early game, but they did not have those comfort heroes in the beginning, which can make your early game smooth, and as a result, well, their early game was not smooth, Dan. It was domination.
Yeah, just from start to finish. We might as well bring Jason back in here to see what he has to say about this game, but
what's there to break down from that game?
Well, I know,
was just utter bloodbath.
But maybe you got something? Got anything? Any wisdom? Any insight?
I feel like Mercedes needs to secretly change his name to something else, and then hope people forget about him, because my man just could not get a break today whatsoever. Just constantly being ganked, constantly being pressured. I'm not even saying that in a negative way. I just feel so bad for him. Just couldn't get going on the game. But obviously, I mean, Hydra Nation, the most dominant team in North America, as you can see why. You give them a drop of blood in the water and they'll swarm over you like a shark or like a Hydra. I don't know if Hydras live in the water. But yeah, just nonstop game. It was cool to see DMB mostly mess you guys up, funny enough, because you kept assuming it was left foot there on him, but for good reason. But his dives under tower were pretty sick, like under the guards or the walker, which is why I actually gave him the play of the match, because it was just honestly really cool to see. He was that confident. He knew the limits of his hero.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a point where you just see DMB and it's like, well, concussive combustion is off cooldown in 3, 2, yeah, there he goes, over and in. And again, I brought it up midcast. It continually came up as a point because it was a very one-sided game. But there are points in Deadlock where if you are a certain percentage ahead of the other hero, you no longer have to respect the other hero. You just hold W, you go in, and you collect your kill. And because Mercedes fell behind early, versus DMB in lane in map 2, that was the world DMB was living in. DMB just got to keep going in over and over again with very consistent damage, and the stat difference was just too much for Mercedes to do anything about it without help.
I mean, it's also the ability points that are like massively skewed as well on top of this. Like we obviously see a big discrepancy when it comes to souls, but like the fact is like they have like level 5 abilities when they're going up against people with, you know, like level 2 or level 1, you know, and not really that deep in. So the items are already punishing, but having your abilities fully unlocked as well just made it just so impossible, like you're saying, ZP.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty big problem. And it does beg the question, you know, who is going to be able to bring, you know, close series against Hydra Nation? This was just very one-sided, very one-sided. And to be honest, I think in Deadlock Fight Night, it is Hydra Nation that can produce the most one-sided games for several reasons. One, mechanically, all of the players are pretty insane. They've got a pretty versatile hero pool. They've got, you know, good coordination, leadership. They've got, as you said, they've got like a institution of behind them, it seems, of support staff. And so they have every advantage. So this is what should happen in most cases. But I'm quite curious how they would stack up against some of the top European competition that we've been, you know, watching in the Deadlock Fight Night as well, because those guys are really good.
You know, I personally, I would like to see what happens when they go to a Spain server. You know, would they be in top form, or would it just go awry? You know,
Pandering, ZP, pandering.
Who knows what would happen in such a situation?
You're just pandering, man. Come on, you're better than that.
No, I'm really not. Is the best part. That's...
Well, with that said, I don't think there's too much more breaking down we can do of this one. Obviously, congratulations once again to Hydra Nation for being the dominant force that they are. I'll remind all of you who have been supporting and watching that you can support us by, you know, either subscribing, because now we have the ability for you to sub to the channel, which is fantastic. That's new. And also, we have merch, so that's another way that you can support us. Currently, Get Gooped is the theme. So I feel like that's pretty in keeping with all the Viscous that we're seeing, which is really nice. But if Viscous ever gets nerfed, I feel like that might take the wind out of our sails.
But then you would have had this at the time when Viscous was strong, and you would always remember these times, right, ZP?
I mean, people don't realize it right now, but you're making the memories that you will look back on, and you'll post on Reddit 8 years from now, and you'll have this sense of superiority because you'll be laughing at the people. It's like, oh, you're watching this big league that's going on now in World Championship. Well, I remember when I got gooped back in good old 2024, and that just means that I'm way more OG than you are.
You know what, ZP? I still have the Overwatch World Cup hoodies and my Overwatch World Cup Team USA jerseys sitting over in one of my dressers. So I'm going to bust those out one day and sell them for a whopping 50 cents because no one really wants my jersey. But you're going to be able to look back on this. What's up?
Back in the day, you definitely got elected onto that committee for the best of reasons, which was that people saw Jay Kaplan and they assumed that you were related to Jeff.
That's not Jeff Kaplan. I didn't vote for this guy. Well, you know.
No, you actually baited switch people just by having the first initial and last name of approximately 28 other people in the games industry. That's it.
Sounds like a them problem, not a me problem.
That sounds like a great achievement. But with that said, I think it's time for us to shut down the show. We've been live for quite some time. We've gone through our European matches, which were long slogs, amazingly entertaining. So if you missed those, definitely make sure to catch up on those. You know, you can check out the VODs. We're also uploading stuff on YouTube. We're starting to get more active on socials as well. So, you know, drop us follows in these various places to catch up with the content and see when we're going live. But with that said, we go live every Wednesday. So we will be back, I assume, next Wednesday. I hope that's confirmed somewhere. Maybe it's not. We'll find out. You can just check the socials if you want to be doubly sure. Now, with that said, there's nothing really more to be said. And as you can tell, I'm very tired. So it is time to sign off. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to the production. Thank you to ZP and Jason for joining me. We'll see you next week for more Deadlock Fight Night.